I don't know what it is, but anyway, as the new day starts, it also comes in with some stories that made news yesterday. And of course, we have a lot of these that we are going to discuss with you. But I would like to first check on the team. Good morning, Chantal Olive.
Good morning, Olive. How are you doing today?
I'm great. How are you?
I'm all right. I'm just wondering why you have chosen violence early morning. You're planting a seed that is going to cause a lot of trouble in people's homes.
But if you cannot give your mother-in-law a special gift for Christmas, she's the reason you have a wife, then what are you doing with yourself? You failed.
Then I guess even the women should consider giving their mothers-in-law gifts since
Most
they
definitely.
gave them husbands.
Most definitely. Yes, yes. But of course, my gender sometimes says, for me, you see, you know.
You understand?
Yeah.
Yeah, my grandmother's tooth is hurting. There's always excuses. But please, ladies, actually, I like to call on ladies. This is what I usually say. I've realized that usually we put a lot of expectation on the men, but also we forget that these men pour out so much, and maybe sometimes we are more on the receiving end than they are. And once in a while, it's good to really be thoughtful. And yes, take his mother out, take him out, buy him whatever he needs. Surprise that man, buy him all the 4 tires of his car, something like that. Come on, ladies, you can do this. And Wednesday, I want to caution the ladies that actually take care of their men.
Nice.
Not being on the receiving end all the time. Take care of your man. Like I said, buy him new tires. Drive out his car briefly and be like, let me come back with a full tank. Okay, if you can't do full tank, do half tank, but do something. Make that man feel like there is someone out there who cares for him.
Okay, Chantal, you've excited the gentleman here. Chirabo is about to scream. Jerome Paul is already giving you a round of applause.
And I'm very serious, by the way, very serious. Ladies, you need to be doing such investments. I can assure you the return on investment is big.
Can you please tell us the kind of man that deserves this treatment? Because our brothers sometimes do not deserve these things. Sometimes they do nothing but give you headache and palpitations.
Well, here's the thing. One, if you made the wrong choice of the person you decided to be with, definitely they will give you headache. But I imagine if men also sat down and realized, okay, this woman is giving me headache, I shouldn't take care of her, I shouldn't do all these things, then we would be having challenges. So if you've chosen your person, please choose your person and do what you have to do, and do the extra mile as well, because you have made that choice. Short of that, I mean, at the end of the day, it goes back down to the choice you made.
Well, we need to keep Chantal extremely safe because she's an endangered species.
Voiceless.
Good morning, Jerome.
Yes,
Jerome
good morning,
Paul.
Monica. You know, as Chantal was actually mentioning about the SEM, I remembered a line from one of Tupac's songs that goes like, what you are doing, do it for love. What you gonna do it for love. So I think it is all about the love, and like Chantal has actually put it out there, it is always better,
of your heart.
Yes, so it is always better not to only concentrate on being the recipient. Also give back. It's energy here. Reciprocate the energy. If giving is the energy, then you can as well give. If the gentleman is giving you 80%, give him the 60%, or give him 80 as well, so that you can balance the both. So to all the women who are taking care of their men, taking care of their fathers, taking care of their brothers, I will definitely be crushing on you as well, because it's quite difficult in this generation. But you're stepping up and you know, proving to be the bigger persons out there. And it's the festive season, the season of love, season of giving back.
And we do make merry and create memories with friends and family, and of course love on the people that we say we love. So what better way to love on them other than by giving them something special? Good morning, Mr. Chirabo.
Oh, when Chantal was speaking, I felt like there was an anointing.
I've never seen you so excited. My goodness, you were punching the air.
Because I was feeling that well, do these women really exist? Are they still there? You know, so may you be blessed in abundance.
We need to protect her with our lives.
Now, talking about issues of women giving, yesterday the Deputy Inspector General of Police was retired, was seeing off retired police officers, but this is what he told them: please do not leave your women in the barracks.
And he even mentioned that I know you have many wives in different places.
Now, that some of you have wives in about 4-5 barracks, but once you're retired, please go home with all these wives, to those 10 acres, to those 4 acres, but don't leave them in the barracks because we shall kick them out. Now, a man who has 4-5 in different barracks, also the mother deserves to be taken out. But also importantly is for the men also to know that, you know, sometimes we are the ones that deny ourselves these opportunities. It becomes so much a headache, but that you kill the appetite to be given. You come home drunk, then all the time you're the one in a relationship going bad, caught here and there. Even the sister loses the appetite. I must accept men as scarce, but
They're good.
Yeah, they're good.
But
So
we are quite many in the country.
If you have a good man, please
Invest in
invest.
Who's a good man though?
A man who is responsible,
Okay.
respectful, I must say. A man with whom you're doing life together. You know, there are people in relationships, but you don't feel that you're doing life together. You're just told, now we are shifting, we are going to this place, you know. I bought land, I'm building. There is nothing like doing life together. But if there is doing life together, then I think there should be so much in everything. But also finally, whether good or bad, DRC Congo, Eastern Congo,
Yes.
our forces among the East African standby force that went to restore peace in Congo are leaving today, or they may be done by today. Now, the president of Congo said these forces, instead of fighting the rebels, they were acting as inhabitants to the rebels, and he believes they didn't do so much. So the SADC forces will be moving in. But the sad bit of it is that when Eastern Congo is not fine, we have an influx of refugees in Uganda.
So true.
And
So
already,
true.
Congo fighting has resumed in the eastern part of Congo. Yet when these people were there, the UPDF spokesperson said that they are not going to fight. They are going to ensure that there is a better way of settling things, and SADC hope does a better job when it gets there.
And you know, the East African Community Regional Forces also commended the UPDF really for the work they've been doing for the past years they've been in the DRC. So you get to realize that however much the president in Congo is not giving them, you know, the points that they obviously deserve, but at least the East African Region Forces are commending them for the job, because there has been a lot of security that they've actually provided, not only within Eastern Congo, but security that is actually that has actually looked out for the entire East African community. Not forgetting that the DRC is now part of the EAC, and security is one of those key things that needs to be prioritized. And here on UBC as well, we commend all the gentlemen in uniform who have been out there trying to maintain peace and maintaining peace in the DRC, as well as safeguarding the borders of Uganda.
Well, that,
you don't forget the women also come.
Oh yeah.
Yes. When we say men in uniform, we normally forget that some of these contingencies actually have women in them. So to the ladies, for me, I'll be crashing on the ladies in the UPDF.
Actually, men in uniform, when you talk about uniform, men in uniform goes for all of them.
Ah, okay.
Yes.
Just like these days, we don't say actress and actor, we say
There are
actor.
very pretty ladies in the armed forces.
My friend.
Okay.
Someone's in police on social media.
Okay,
You're like,
Chirabo,
"Why don't these
today
come for us?"
you're choosing violence. But
No, I'm crushing. I'm crushing
on the
all-
beautiful ladies in uniform.
No, By the way, when you look at the state events, you will see quite many of them.
Against the law, they are not the ones that come to arrest
Oh,
you.
wow.
You want them to come and capture you.
When you spoke to a traffic officer, the ones you see on social media.
You know, the chances the chances are you may continue committing crime because you know who is going to arrest you.
Okay, gentlemen, before we start committing crimes, Trevor Robert, what do you have for us in the local news?
Well, we are looking at President Museveni, who has urged Ugandans to participate in the 2024 national census, population census and housing, because it will help government to plan. Now, he was launching activities of the population and housing census of 2024 at Kololo Independence Grounds. Museveni said the data will help in establishing how many villages are there to support with funds under the Parish Development Model Program.
Now moving on, the Uganda Civil Aviation Authority at Entebbe International Airport has issued travel protocols for incoming delegates and heads of states for the January 2024 summit of the Non-Aligned Movement and the G77 plus China. The travel protocol guidelines were issued during a brief meeting with the advanced teams for heads of states and delegations who have confirmed participation in the January 2024 summits.
And moving on, police force retired 233 officers, including constables and senior commissioners of police. Though these have been encouraged to integrate into society and serve as agents of positive change in their respective communities, the Deputy Inspector General of Police tasked them to represent police values and avoid engaging in any criminal activities.
And lastly, on the local scene, the President's National Unity Platform has broken silence on his comments made on the anti-homosexual law on BBC interview during his visit in the United Kingdom. While addressing the press at the party headquarters in Kampala, Kyagulanyi said that his comments were taken out of context. Well, that does it for the local news. Chantal Olive, please share what you have for us this morning on the international scene and around Africa.
Well, on the international scene, we are crossing over to the United States. Now, U.S. President Joe Biden has said Israel is starting to lose global support over its indiscriminate bombing of Gaza. His comments made to donors at a fundraising event on Tuesday marked his strongest criticism yet of Israel's leadership. Mr. Biden has offered unwavering public support to the country since Hamas launched its attacks on 7th October, and while he reiterated that Israel could count on U.S. backing, he issued a direct warning to its government. Israel's security can rest on the United States, but right now it has more than the United States. It has the European Union, it has Europe, it has most of the world, he told donors to his 2024 re-election campaign in Washington. But they are starting to lose that support by indiscriminate bombing that takes place, he said. Mr. Biden, however, added that there was no question about the need to take on Hamas, and Israel had every right to do so. Moving on, UN General Assembly votes overwhelmingly in favor of Gaza ceasefire. The 193-member United Nations General Assembly has voted overwhelmingly in favor of a resolution calling for a humanitarian ceasefire in war-torn Gaza. Tuesday's resolution passed with 153 countries voting in favor, 23 abstaining, and 10 countries voting against, including Israel and United States. While the resolution is non-binding, it serves as an indicator of global opinion. We thank all those who supported the draft resolution that was adopted by a huge majority, Saudi Arabia's UN Ambassador Abdulaziz Al-Wazir said in remarks following the vote. This reflects the international position to call for the enforcement of this resolution. The vote comes as international pressure builds on Israel to end its months-long assault on Gaza, where more than 18,000 Palestinians have been killed, the majority of them women and children. More than 80% of Gaza's 2.3 million residents have also been displaced. Now, coming back to Africa, many Zimbabweans have reacted with astonishment after Mthuli Ncube was named Best African Finance Minister of the Year, despite the country's economic turmoil. One user on X, formerly known as Twitter, said the award was akin to applauding a captain for steering a ship straight into an iceberg. Another user called it the greatest joke of the decade. Zimbabwe's unemployment rate is as high as 85%, economists say. Up to 80% of transactions are carried out in US dollars because of a lack of confidence in the local currency, according to the Reuters news agency. Reputation Poll International, an organization that says it manages reputations, gave Mr. Ncube the award on Sunday. The minister, who was appointed by President Emerson Mnangagwa in 2018, told the state-run Herald newspaper that he was delighted to receive the honor. He said it was recognition of the work he and the Treasury team had done that has spearheaded the transformation of the economy. However, activist Hopewell Chinono said on X that the award was an insult to Zimbabweans. Now, speaking matters climate, negotiations for a climate deal spilled into overtime at the COP28 summit in Dubai on Wednesday as nearly 200 countries sought to bridge divisions on the future role of fossil fuels, by far the most contentious issue. Where the two-week conference lands on the issue will send a powerful message to global investors and markets about the ambition of governments around the world to end the use of oil, gas and coal or preserve place them. Many nations had criticized a deal draft released on Monday for failing to call for a phase-out of fossil fuels, which scientists say are by far the biggest source of the greenhouse gas emissions driving global warming. More than 100 countries ranging from the United States and the European Union to tiny island nations like Samoa had pushed for the language but faced resistance from members of the OPEC oil producer group and its allies. Late on Tuesday and into the early hours of Wednesday, country delegations met with each other and with the United Arab Emirates COP28 host, which is responsible for writing a new draft of the final deal, to make clear their demands in a flurry of midnight shuttle diplomacy. That is it for climate news and what is happening across different parts of the world.
And with that, we move on to the press. Jerome Paul Sonko, what do the dailies have for us?
Well, the New Vision is highlighting 2024 census. 120,000 jobs are up for grabs. The applicants are required to be tech savvy. So if you are looking for jobs, 2024, this may be a good one for you. Now, the Justice Ministry saves government 982 billion shillings in court cases. New finding. Then read about Rabogo's team meeting Ambassador Kassan as Institute for Peace. Then in politics, Bobi Wine speaks out on homosexuality backlash. Read about that in the New Vision today. And then World Bank offers 17.5 billion Ugandan shillings to restore 13 forests in western Uganda. An interesting report in there. Now, the Daily Monitor, IGAD issues locust alert for Uganda. As Parliament tells of Bobby overclaim, government plans to bribe members of Parliament. And the Daily Monitor's headline today is ceasefire in Congo as UPDF withdraws. Also a pictorial as President conducts the opening or the launch of the launch of the census 2024, ready to count. The Daily Monitor highlights. Then in the regional news, vendors stuck after court attaches Muslim land. Then spine defecate cases in babies worry Gulu medics. Then also Butera to lead 5-member team for anti-gay petitions. That is with the Daily Monitor this morning. Let's cross the borders now to Kenya, as President William Ruto does reveal that Kenya is on the right track. He was revealing this at the Independence Day celebrations yesterday. Then also, top of the world, Kipchogon, Kiptum shine at World Athletics Gala. Read about that in the Daily Nation today. Then also look at some of the highlights of Kenya's independence. The highlights from the Kenyan president: the economic debt, taxation, corruption, unemployment, and the issue to do with opening borders. That and more was highlighted yesterday by President William Ruto. Then also, Azimio wants Sabina Chege to refund packs for Jubilee whip post, as why Africa may end up leaving climate meeting empty-handed. Interesting report regarding the COP28, as it did come to an end yesterday though. Now, Tanzania, lastly, the Citizen newspaper. Unite against fakes. Government urges the industry, as Chinese firm starts Tazara assessment in revival strategy. Then also, the CEO at Annual Gala Dinner 2023, Inspire, Grow and Impact. What COP28 resolutions mean to the ordinary Tanzanians. That is in the Citizen newspaper today. Then also, the NMB green bond raises to 400 billion Tanzanian shillings. Those are the top stories making headlines across the region.
Thank you, Jerome Paul. Now, we will be taking a short break. I don't know why, Chirabo. The locusts.
Let me tell you, this profession is a very interesting one. You know, when we had locusts, because I had to host these people, I read about those insects like nothing. Now, what amused me is the stages that first arrived. We first had the very old, and then we said these are not dangerous, but they are going to lay eggs, and these eggs can spend about 6 months in the ground. Then, there's so much drama surrounding the locusts.
Well,
now, if you are warned of a similar coming,
yes,
and we spent a lot of money. One time
Yes,
we needed
we did.
a plane to aerial spray, so we didn't have that capacity. I pray to God that they don't return again.
I would rather we get a plane to area spray when there is a fire,
And
because
all
at least
Ugandans
that-
adopt to this kind of, these are just sisters to Museni and brothers.
Well, we will
Can
leave
do
you
them
with
justice.
Deck the Halls by Pentatonics, and we'll be right back. It is the 12th day of December 2023. Good morning and welcome to Good Morning Uganda, a show that starts your day, a show that gives you great insights into, let's say, is it business? You want to know more about forex rates, you want to know more about traffic updates, but we go beyond that. We have topical discussions regarding issues that affects you and I in this country, but also we normally look at issues that are happening in countries all across the world and even within the East African region. And speaking about the East African region, our brothers and sisters in Kenya are celebrating 60 years of independence today. Yes, Kenya is 60 years old today since they got their independence, and here from Good Morning Uganda and Uganda itself, we say congratulations upon reaching this milestone. Of course, we know the stories that happened before the independence. We know about the rebellions that happened in Kenya. It is the 12th day of December 2023. Good morning and welcome to Good Morning Uganda, a show that starts your day, a show that gives you great insights into, let's say, is it business? You want to know more about forex rates, you want to know more about traffic updates, but we go beyond that. We have topical discussions regarding issues that affects you and I in this country, but also we normally look at issues that are happening in countries all across the world and even within the East African region. And speaking about the East African region, our brothers and sisters in Kenya are celebrating 60 years of independence today. Yes, Kenya is 60 years old today since they got their independence. And here from Good Morning Uganda,
10 p.m. on your public broadcaster.
Was brought to you by
MTN Momo Pay is the easy way to pay. Dial *165*3# or use the MTN Momo app. You don't need cash. MTN Momo Pay is safe and free.
UBC is the national public broadcaster. We educate, inform, entertain and inspire our audiences. You can watch us on free-to-air channel 001, DSTV channel 282, GoTV channel 371, Star Times channel 201, Zuku TV channel 20 and Azam TV channel 350. Even when your subscription expires, you can still watch UBC for free on your pay TV platforms.
Actually, Zono Industrial is one of the presidential initiatives which is brought here in Achule land to skill our youth. The skilling is free of charge. What you really need, you have to be within the age of 18 to 35. They don't need any requirements apart from being willing. You have to be willing, and a youth who is willing to get the skills. The courses we have started with only 4. That is tailoring, hairdressing, carpentry and welding. First intake we registered 212, we admitted 212 students from 10 administrative units of Acholi. These students, they recruited them from different districts within the Acholi sub-region. If we continue with this cooperation, many beneficiaries will pass through us, and they will go with enough skills, unknown skills, which will change them and later bring them into an economy. We shall really fight poverty in that way.
Junko.
Yo.
Wachiko. Check the shopping, man. What's your secret?
Uganda, haven't you heard of the parish development model PDM?
Yes, I did, but I thought it was just a talk.
No, Sebatia. It is real. I and a few friends together formed a circle, accessed money from the PDM, invested in a portrait project, and now things are moving.
Junko. I thought I was one of your friends.
You are.
But you left me behind.
I didn't leave you in poverty. What you do, just visit your LC2 chairperson and your parish chief and start the process of economic transformation. Just like that. The parish development model is an initiative from the government of Uganda through the Ministry of Local Government designed to transform all lives of Ugandans for the better. PDM, my parish, my development, my life.
Thank you so much for being with us, and welcome to Good Morning Uganda. If you're just joining us right now, my name is Olive Monica Najuma, and here on the newsreel today we have we are going to have an exciting conversation regarding scouting. So is this something that you were once part of when you were in school, or is it something you're part of right now? Yes, we have people from the scouting area, and we are going to be having an interesting conversation with them. And of course, we are going to have a conversation regarding the 24th Eastern Africa Zonal Scout Conference that has been taking place between the 9th to 14th of December 2023. They will give us more details about this and why scouting is really important. And I know that it has been said over the years that scouting has so many benefits, especially to young people. Started in 1907 by Robert Baden-Powell, scouting was for 11 to 18-year-old boys, but now it also includes girls. And I know that many ladies have benefited from this greatly. And speaking of ladies, I have one of them here with me, and her name is Elaine Chitali, and of course Sebandeke Julius. Good morning and welcome to Good Morning Uganda.
Good morning.
Good morning, ma'am.
Morning.
Now, when we talk about scouting, first of all, what do we call the ladies? The lady scouts?
They're also scouts.
They are also scouts?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So when we talk about scouting, what would we say is the role of scouting in our communities?
First of all, my name is Ellen Kitale. I'm the National Executive Commissioner for Tanzania Scout Association. I'm taking part in the Zonal Eastern African Conference, which is happening in Uganda right now. So as we talk about scouting is the movement for young people, it's the education for young people. We are helping them to realize their dreams, to contribute a significant role to their societies. So we are empowering them physically, socially, spiritually, so that they can contribute a constructive role to the societies.
Okay, that's a good way. And how exactly do you do this? Could you explain more on how the physical comes in, the mentally comes in when it comes to scouting?
Okay, first of all, we are guided, scouts as the movement, we are guided by the fundamental principles of scouting. They are namely due to God, due to others, and due to self. So if the scouts are categorized in four sections. We have the Cub Scout 5 years to 10 years. We have the Junior Scout beginning from 7 years to 10 years. We have Senior Scout 11 to 16, and we have Rovers, the 17 to 26 years. So we are categorizing in those sections, and we are giving them the trainings according to the age sections. So as we talk to the fundamental principles of scouting, we teach them about due to God, and everyone in their denomination, their religion, how they obey their faith, and due to God, how they can come in spiritual manners. And also when we talk about due to others and how they can be responsible to others, to their nation, and contribute a significant change for their nation, for their societies and community at large. And when we talk about due to self, it is how themselves, they are responsible as a citizen in their countries, in their families, and the society at large.
Thank you, Elaine. Now, Mr. Sebandeke.
Yep.
When we talk about scouting, like she said, it includes mainly the youth. And it's interesting to hear that you have ages as low as 7, because I think many years ago when I was in primary school, scouting was for the upper classes. Yeah. So I like that now younger children have been included. But let's speak about the activities that are therein. Which activities are the youth involved in scouting?
Okay, in Uganda Scouts, the youth are involved in different activities. First and foremost, in scouting, when we talk about the youth, we talk about the age bracket, as my sister said, from the young ones up to the age of 26. Those are the youth in scouting. So they are all involved in different activities. One, in scouting, we believe in volunteership. We believe in helping each other. So when we have scouts in the community, we know that at least if there are elders in the society, the scouts will be in touch to help that person. We believe that if there is any need in the community, scouts are there. We do activities like firefighting. We always train these young ones in how to involve in firefighting in case there is a fire outbreak. How do they engage, and how can they help and seize that fire? So we have other activities like we train these kids community work. We train kids how to help their parents at home, cooking, cleaning, how to live in a clean environment. So there are several activities. Basically, scouting depends on someone's, depends in creating or in putting up a good citizen in the community, whereby this citizen is self-reliant. We don't scout, we can't be in society being jobless. So you have to be involved in anything that can generate income to your life and how you can change your personal life. So basically the youth, we are training them to be self-reliant, to be good citizen, and not engaging in strikes, to love their country. Basically we train them to love their country. You know, Uganda starts with me. So if I don't love Uganda, that means Uganda will not exist. So in scouting, we emphasize on leadership and also emphasize on self-reliant. We emphasize on creating a good citizen in this country.
Okay. Do we have any known leaders that were once part of the Scouts Association?
Basically, there are many leaders in Uganda. One, I can say the patron of Uganda Scout is the president of Uganda, His Excellency Yoweri Kaguta Museveni. He was once a scout, if you could remember historically, and if you read about one time, I think was it Obote who said, this mere boy scout was talking about His Excellency, the president of Uganda. So he was a scout. Sekabaka Mutesa, he was a scout. If you could look at the land of Uganda Scout at Kazi, the 120 acres was donated to Uganda Scout by Sekabaka Daudichwa, which means there are many leaders. And if you could see in Parliament, we have leaders, the deputy speaker, he's a scout. We have Honorable Bahati, he's a scout. If you could go further, we have Maggie Chigozi. She's our chief. She's our now. She's a trustee. So these are all scouts. So we have many scouts in leadership, and there are many people who have created in scouting who are leaders.
Actually, when you made the names that you have mentioned, it gave me a sense of hope, because the leaders you've mentioned, their legacies precede them. They have done well in the public fora, in everything that they do. They are respectable members of society. They are just not, for instance, members of parliament or leaders. They are people, for instance, Maggie Chigozi, who is a trustee now. In most cases, when you talk to young women and you ask them, who is your hero or who inspires you among women in Uganda, the name Maggie Chigozi will be somewhere. So when you say that she's part of the Scouts Association and she's a trustee, we've hosted her here several times, then that makes, I believe, that makes a parent out there want their child to join Scouting, because with the kind of people you've mentioned, who wouldn't want that? Now, Uganda Scouts Association is hosting the East African Education Zonal Camp, Youth Forum and Commissioners Conference. Tell us more about this.
Okay, Uganda Scout, we are hosting this event. This is involves all East Africa. So we have around 8 countries per now who are in Uganda. One, we have the Zonal Education Camp for the young ones from 17 to around 11 years. They are at Kazi. We have the youth, that is 18, 20, 26. They are at Kampala University. our chief, in fact, that university is for our chief scout, Professor Badru Katerega. So, and the seniors, the commissioners from the whole the East African community countries, they are at the Safari Hotel here in Reza. So, we have the whole sector of scouting in East Africa. In these camps, everyone has the role to play. For instance, when you go to the commissioners' conference, their role is to discuss what the youth or what do we have to put in place so that the young ones enjoy scouting in the whole East Africa. So we are planning now. If you could see the government have their way to unite the whole Africa, the whole East Africa. So the basis or where the government should start with the scouts. So for us, if we can sit as scouts of East Africa, the whole the countries of East Africa, and we have one camp for the zonal education camp. We are educating them. We are showing these young ones what they have to do in a society of the East Africa. We are involving them in different activities, what they can do at their communities in the whole East Africa. The commissioners or the youth. Now the youth their role is to bring out the ideas, what they need as the youth of East Africa, so that they can be implemented in the whole sector. So now the commissioner their role is to discuss and try to put what the youth have discussed, try to put them into place. So as you could see that in case there is child labor in East Africa, so when the young one discuss and they get the way how to eradicate the child labor in East Africa, when the commissioners sit, they put that into place. They inject it in their work plan, the whole of East Africa, so that when they are start their implementation, the whole of East Africa will be on one page.
Okay.
Yeah, that's how this thing comes in.
Now, this is the 24th Eastern Africa Zonal Scout Conference. And I would like to know, first of all, before we even move on to this one, I would like to know what were the achievements for the last, what were the objectives and achievements of the last one?
The last one, basically, the first achievement is one. We are fought to unite the whole of East Africa. So if you could see now, when I go to Kenya, I can't lose where to sleep. In case I go to Tanzania, I can say that they have their scouts. I just give a call that, scouts, I'm coming. I can't be stranded when I'm in East Africa. That is one. We have created that brotherhood and sisterhood in East Africa. As scout, we are one. Now, when something happens to Uganda, when in case we have a challenge in Uganda, also the Tanzanians are concerned, as long as scouting is concerned. So in scouting, we are in East Africa. The first objective we have put up is creating the brotherhood and sisterhood love. We are one in East Africa. Whatever happens to Kenya, Tanzania, Congo, Rwanda, Burundi, the same affects the Ugandan scouts. So we work as a team in East Africa. So that objective of unite is one now. So that's why we come together and we solve the problems together. What affects Uganda, also it can
affect everyone else in the region.
Africa, yeah.
Okay, now Elaine, I would like to know what are some of the things that you're looking out to achieve this time round.
Thank you for the good question. As we come together, we are all, as Ella mentioned, we are coming about 88 countries from Eastern Africa, that is Sudan, South Sudan, Kenya, Burundi, Rwanda, Tanzania, Ethiopia, and Congo. We are coming together to discuss the more practical issues regarding to good governance in our National Scout associations. We are coming together to talk about how we can significantly contribute to the economic development of our nations as good citizens, as a patriotic to our countries back home. How are we creating platform for young people to exercise their responsibilities as young people? How we innovatively engage young people and how they can transform their lives in different activities and projects how we foster the collaboration and partnership with the other organizations, with the partners like government institutions and the international actors, how we foster that partnership and make more efficient and effective use of our resources and our capacities in transforming our societies, our youth and the nation at large. So we are focusing and reflecting on past activities and improving towards achieving more and more transformative goals in our countries and the nation at large.
Okay, thank you so much. Now, I understand that this camp has so much emphasis on leadership skills, sports development, and cultural engagement, which underscores the East African Regional Scouts' commitment to preparing for challenges and opportunities of tomorrow. For someone watching, how would you explain to them how, for instance, sports can foster someone for leadership positions tomorrow?
Okay, for instance, in scouting, why do we emphasize sports and physical activity? You know, if you could go into details and know and hear about our leaders right now, there are several diseases which are caused by people when they lack physicals.
Yes.
So we scouts believe that you have to be physically fit, or you have to be, you know, a scout. If you could see, scouting, we believe that someone has to be physically fit so that he can do everything he has to do. I can tell you that one day I heard that Uganda, we have even the physical day. But for us in scouting, early morning we do drills, morning drills. We believe that we have to be physically fit. For me, I can move a long distance without even being affected by any disease. But if someone is ever seated just there, we'll get a lot of diseases.
If, for instance, you're in maybe Letepolis and you're out of shape, will you be able to do your job, run after thieves and whatnot?
But in scouting, if you could see us, we are all not in, even if someone is big in scouting, you can do activities.
No, I'm not saying big. I'm saying, okay, by out of shape, I mean, because let's face it, at some point, some of these things are going to contribute to some lifestyle ailments. You might have diabetes, you might have high blood pressure because of your lifestyle. So when you say that you emphasize physical health, I think it works in the grand scheme of things.
Yeah, and I can give you another example. If you could look at the president, the way how old he is, he's still physically fit.
Yes.
If you could look at Badru Kateriga, the way how he is, he's still moving. So which means scouting, the physical we are encouraging these young ones, it helps you to be healthy. By the time, even if you're old, you are still healthy. We have many elders in scouting. One day, if you get time and visitors, we have elders from different districts who are already in 90s, but they are still physically fit. So the physical we are training these kids help them to be healthy and for their life and to move on.
Now, I also understand that you're encouraging scouts to have innovative ideas regarding issues like climate change. How exactly are you doing that?
Yeah, in Scout, if you could go to Wakiso, we are almost one of the areas who have green plantation. We have our plantation at Kaz. It is green. That forest has been there 100 years. So if we still have, we encourage people to, now we encourage young ones to plant trees, more trees. In fact, if every camp we are holding, we try to emphasize, we give them seedlings. We have a nursery bed at Kaz, which gives out many seedlings to these young ones. In fact, we encourage people like, as you could see, our camping ground. Although we are camping there, the place is greeny, we have some development projects which we are putting up. So we encourage people to keep the climate as well as trying to utilize what they have for their personal benefits and to see that they move up with their lives.
Okay. Now, the theme for this year's camp is innovating the next step. What inspired this kind of theme, and tell us more about it?
Yeah, on the side of Uganda, when we left COVID, COVID-19 affected everyone almost. So in Uganda Scout we are affected because remember Scouts we are believing in gathering, in togetherness. So we are affected a lot. So when we sat and when the leadership sat and they thought of what is next in the lives of these young ones, so they started putting up strategic planning. How could we live as Scouts without only gathering but trying to shape the ship. Now if you could see that in Scouting now we are training young ones how to use computers. We are training young ones how to create jobs online. We are training young ones how to use the internet. You know, Scouting is not Uganda or Tanzania. Scouting, it is across the global.
It is international,
so
yes.
Internationally. So when I am here in Uganda, how could I do a certain business so that a fellow scout in USA, in UK, can support me? So we have many projects through this new film we have put up, which has come up in Kazi, like for instance in Kazi. After thinking a lot, after the COVID, Uganda Scout leadership sat and we made a partnership with several partners like Serena Heights. We made that partner so that they construct for us a hotel plus the new offices and the stadiums. In that partnership, so that we see how even if Uganda Scout don't look at just scouts at the ground, can benefit a lot and can the work can move on. So after the COVID-19, everyone's motivation started changing the goalposts that, okay, I've been feeding on only young ones when they gather together. Now, if the young ones are not gathering, how could the association move?
What is the next step?
What's the next step? So that's how Ugandans thought of it, the leadership basically. And we have projects now running. Yeah, maybe in Tanzania, I don't know.
Tell us more about what it is. I believe that this theme runs across. Like you said, Scouting is for the entire region and it is also international. So how is this theme being expedited back in Tanzania?
Well, as he has stated already, it is not very different from what is happening in Uganda. But what we are trying to emphasize to our youth is to make a creative use of the technologies, as he mentioned, and make more opportunities and potential, use more opportunities of the technology to enhance their lives, to get much out of it, and avoid those malpractices by using the technologies and adapt to the new foreign cultures that deteriorate their lives, especially by imitating things which have got negative implication to their lives, rather than taking advantage of technology to empower themselves economically, socially, enhance social cohesion, promote peace and the social cohesion among the youth. You know, it becomes like we have this thing called the cyber bullying. The people are making, they abuse others through technology and things like that. So we recommend our youth to follow the potential the positive potential path for empowering themselves economically, socially, and have those networks outside there to make them more benefits.
Well, I like that you mentioned that you emphasize that the youth use technology in the right way. Recently, while addressing the nation, I remember the president saying that some people are using social media apps like WhatsApp to gossip. And he said you can use these applications to enlighten yourself and also to enrich yourself. Absolutely. There are people making money off social media and not fraudulently when they're running legit businesses. So I commend you for doing that. And now, in your parting shots, Mr. Sebandeke, what would you say are the partners of Uganda Scouts Association?
Okay, so Uganda Scout has partnered with different partners. One of them is the Uganda government. No, scouting is non-governmental, but we can't live without being governed by the government. So Uganda Scout is now governed by the government, we have the partnership with the government in Ministry of Education. We are now given a full department in the Ministry of Education under physical activities, led by Lieutenant Colonel Mugumya. So we have other partners, like also again in government, we are working with the Ministry of Works and Transport. We have Marine Search and Rescue Center at Kazi. They are constructing a Search and Rescue Center at Kazi at the shores of Victoria, which will be utilized by the whole of East Africa and Uganda basically. And we have other partners like Serena, as we talked about, is going to construct for us a stadium and the hotel, which we shall be in generating some income. Like for instance, I can give you an example that as the commissioners came to Uganda, they were sleeping in a big hotel. So we look into that. At least if these commissioners came to Uganda, when Uganda Scouts have their own hotel, that or the whole of money which we have spent in hotels
will be going back
to the association. And again, if you could look at another partners, and the benefit of these partners is like the stadium. Uganda, if you could look in Uganda, I mean, few have stadiums, so we are planning to have one of the big stadiums in Uganda.
Well, the 24th Eastern Africa Zonal Scout Conference will be taking place from the 9th to 14th of December 2023. Be sure to be a part of it. I've been having a conversation with Mr. Sebandeke Julius, the International Relations Committee member, Uganda Scouts Association, and Miss Elaine Chitali, the National Executive Commissioner, Tanzania Scouts Association. Thank you so much for coming through.
You're welcome.
And you're still watching Good Morning Uganda. Up next is well, we'll see you in the next segment.
Pick of the day on UBC.
Every Wednesday, 10 p.m. on your public broadcaster.
Was brought to you by MTN Momo Pay is the easy way to pay. Dial *165*3# or use the MTN Momo app. You don't need cash. MTN Momo Pay is safe and free.
UBC is the national public broadcaster. We educate, inform, entertain, and inspire our audiences. You can watch us on free-to-air channel 001, DSTV channel 282, GoTV channel 371, Star Times channel 201, Zuku TV channel 20, and Azam TV channel 350. Even when your subscription expires, you can still watch UBC for free on your pay TV platforms.
Junko. Yo. Wachiko. Check the shopping, man. What's your secret?
Haven't you heard of the Parish Development Model PDM?
Yes, I did, but I thought it was just a talk.
No, it is real. I and a few friends together formed a circle, accessed money from the PDM, invested in a portrait project, and now things are moving.
Junko. I thought I was one of your friends.
You are.
But you left me behind.
I didn't leave you in poverty. What you do, just visit your LC2 chairperson and your parish chief and start the process of economic transformation. Just like that. The Parish Development Model is an initiative from the government of Uganda through the Ministry of Local Government designed to transform all lives of Ugandans for the better. PDM, my parish, my development, my life.
The cardinal role of a government is maintaining law and order, safeguarding citizens' rights and providing essential public goods and services. Throughout its tenure, the government has consistently upheld these principles, This foundation creates an environment conducive to delivering crucial social services to citizens through diverse approaches such as taxation, strategic budgeting, and effective policy implementation. A transformative education system, advancing healthcare provisions, enhancing social welfare, and propelling infrastructure growth, all of which continue to evolve daily to cater to the population's expectations. Supported by a meticulously organized network of ministries, government remains committed to serving its citizens. Coming soon on your public broadcaster, The Front Bench, your interface with the government every Monday at 8:30 p.m. with Joram Paul Sonko, only on your public broadcaster, UBC, inspiring Uganda.
Hello, good morning. It's a fresh Wednesday. It's a bright day. I'm already excited about what the day is going to bring, and I don't know, but I came feeling excited, very happy, and you never know, this is the day. It is one of the days when you get a surprise call or a new call and you be like, maybe I'm getting a Santa, maybe someone has thought about me. I don't know about you guys. I don't know whether you've received some gifts already, Christmas gifts. I'm seeing people already putting up the Christmas decorations, and people are already setting up their mood for the Christmas, for the festive season. And it is that time for you to set up, like, be happy, be merry with friends and family, catch up, have holidays, go for vacations, explore Uganda. Like, what is life about? It is that time to have the vacations. I'm Irene Allen Amisang to take you through the GMU Tourism Express and give you all the updates about Uganda's tourism. Like, we are here to give you all the trends, what is happening in the world of tourism, where do you need to go, what do you need to know about your country. Like, we get you to know more about your country, get information, the beauty, the nature, the cultures, what is all that is in Uganda. Yes, this is the time to take you through the world of tourism here at UBC. And in the travel news, it was a plus for Uganda's tourism when the Ghetto Kids performed at the CAF Awards in Morocco. You know, in the Coolers Assemble Tourism Awards, the Ghetto Kids were also nominated as the tourism personality ambassadors of the year, alongside the likes of Senyonyi Derrick. He's a famous content creator about Uganda's tourism. But we also feel that these Ghetto Kids are really doing an amazing job to promote Uganda's tourism. Like, every performance that they have outside the country, it is a plus for the country's tourism. Because when you see them performing on the stages, it portrays, it draws more attention to Uganda's diverse cultures. And then when you see them performing, these kids, the way they smile on stages, their performances, you see the real culture of Uganda's people, the hospitality, the happy people that we are, the hospitable people that we are. And it is really a plus every time they perform outside Uganda. It is just an advert about Uganda's tourism, and it draws attention to see. It can attract some people to come to the country and explore the diverse cultures that we have. I won't stop telling you that Uganda has more than 56 cultures, and all these cultures need to be explored. They are different in languages, they are different in dress codes, their staple foods are different. Like, everything is different about this language, about these cultures. When you come to Uganda, it is something different. When you go to Busoga, it is something different. When you go to Karamoja, when you go to the West, like, we have so many diverse cultures that need to be explored. And even you as a Ugandan, you need to explore them. You need to know the different cultures that we have. But some of you are just stuck here, you only know the Baganda, the Banyankole, the Basoga, and that is all you can say about Uganda's cultures. Then what about when you talk about the Dodoth people, the Pokods? Do you know them? Yeah, but that is the reason why we are here, to take you around Uganda so that you get to know more about Uganda's culture and different attractions in the country. Today, we talk about a place that is almost hidden in the rugged hills and valleys of Karamoja region. A place that is so untouched, a place that is not given attention, a place that is somehow ignored. But it plays a big role to Uganda's tourism, and it attracts several tourists to the country. And that place is Mountain Murongole. Mountain Murongole is located in the Karamoja region in northeastern Uganda, close to the border of Sudan and Kenya. And you know, this place is so virgin. Okay, just away from the dry Karamoja that we know. When you talk about Karamoja, what comes in your mind is the dotted acacias, maybe the hardy flora, you know. You think about that desert-like part of Uganda. But when you get to this place, you'll be amazed. The place is full of green. When I went to this place, I was, you know, when they told me that I was going to Karamoja, I didn't even bother packing so many sweaters because I thought the place is hot. That is all we are going to be experiencing. But when you go to this part of Karamoja, the place is so green. When you look at the vegetation, it is incredibly fertile. It is amazingly like untouched, so virgin. And the views that you have over South Sudan, over the Turkana land of Kenya, like the views are worth having. You can just keep on gazing and you never stop. But also another thing about this place, it is the only place in Uganda, like the best destination for stargazing. You know, this place has clear skies and they're always darker at night to give you the best stargazing experience. So when you're there, that is the place where you can have or see this Milky Way galaxy. You know that Milky Way galaxy. Anyway, away from the nature and the views that we have on Mountain Mulongole, hiking it gives you an amazing experience to meet up with different cultures here. Just on the slopes, on the lower slopes of the mountain, you meet the Dodoth people. These are also unique to their cultures. But today we're not talking about the Dodoth people. At the top of the mountain, you meet the Ik people. This is almost the smallest surviving group of people or ethnic group in Africa. It has a number of about 11,000 individuals, and it is even threatened that maybe time is going to come and the Ik are no more and their language is no more, because all the time the numbers are decreasing. But amazing, what is amazing about these people, according to the tribe legend, they first settled in Ethiopia. That is where they originated from. First settled in Kenya, and then they came to Chidepo Valley National Park. However, in the 1950s, when the park was gazetted, they resettled to Mulongole Mountain, and they've been, part of their time has been so much in the movements because of the cattle raids by their rival tribes, you know, the Karamojas with their cattle raids. But they now settled at Mulongole Mountain because they feel it is a safer place. They can easily spot people that are coming through, maybe to do their raids. And because of the movements and this place that they can no longer hunt, because they are usually hunters and gatherers, now they mainly depend on subsistence farming, and their staple crop is maize. That is why that is what they mostly grow. The Ik people, when you reach the Ik people, you guys, even the shortest of all has to crawl to enter a fence of the Ik people. That is their way of protection. Like, they feel by the time you crawl into their fence, they will have seen you by that time. That is why they do very, very short gates to their fences. And the family life of the Ik is polygamous, of course. They marry so many wives and they have little education, and their cultures are just unique because they have mostly been isolated to themselves. They've not been so much to people. Actually, when we went there this year in June, these people are just seen money. And when you give an Ik person just 1,000 Uganda shillings, you don't know the joy that they get. They didn't know money. They've just seen money just in the recent years. But for us here in Kampala, man, when 1,000 is now almost close to nothing. But to them, it is almost everything. And another thing about the Ik people, education. I think I saw just only one school in this place, and just very few people have embraced education. They do not even want to go. They feel like when they go to schools, they are going to destroy their cultures. But what is happening is that their language is really phasing out because of the intermarriages between themselves. And when you have 3 generations of the Ik people, you'll find that the language is really phasing out. And you know, we cannot lose such a language. And if we say that maybe in the 50 years to come, the Ik language won't be there, like, it will be a loss. These are the cultures that we need to preserve, and to preserve for the future generations, so that they can also be able to explore, but also to have the Ik people around. Well, if you're planning to have a culture tour, I think this is the place. You need to go to Karamoja. Besides the Ik people, there are so many diverse tribes around Karamoja, and the Ik people are one of those tribes that you need to check out, to visit and explore and have some time with them. For the travel tip today, it is quite simple for today's travel tip. And what I'm telling you is, as you're traveling around, as you're going to explore Uganda, please use a backpack or a small suitcase. Sometimes you'll be going for trips, just a 3-day trip, and you find someone has a big suitcase, like they're going for a full month. Man, you're coming back. Just use a small suitcase or a backpack. It even becomes easier for you if you have to change hotels, if you have to change destinations, moving from one destination to another. So it becomes easier for you. That was it we had for you today. Thank you so much. Catch us tomorrow, same time, taking you around Uganda. Up next is Joram Paul Sonko with the business update. Mulongole Mountains.
Mulongole Mountains.
Yeah.
You know, it's the first time I've heard about them. I don't know how high they are, how much space they cover within the country. Just briefly give us more about it. In just a minute.
About the height of Mulongole Mountain, they're about 2,700 meters high. They're not so high, and they're not the highest in Chidepo, but what makes them stand out is the unique cultures that are around them. Yeah.
All right, now coming actually is going to be the game new business updates, or let's say stick around. And definitely go out and experience the Mulongole Mountains. But besides that, it's now time for us to check out what is making headlines from the world of business. I'm Joram Paul Sonko this morning. Now we start off with the population and housing census launch that was officially launched yesterday by President Yoweri Museveni. Earlier in the day, through our press review, I did highlight the fact that there are quite a number of jobs available for those who are highly good when it comes to technology, because this time round technology will take center stage come the population census in 2024. Now President Museveni urged Ugandans to participate in this particular population census because it will help government to plan ahead for those Ugandans that have been counted. The last census was in 2014, so we do have a period of 10 years as we're getting into another census in order to plan accordingly for how many Ugandans we do have and the future projections of those that are likely to be in the country as well. President also said that this data will help them establish how many villages they support with funds under the parish development model, and also looking at the different numbers of people that are within the country. Now, also President Museveni launched these activities of the population and housing census, which will include sensitization of the masses about the importance of being counted and training enumerators on how to conduct a digital census, which will culminate in the enumeration exercise that will start with a census night on 9th May 2024. So the president did say that question around the data from the census. He did say that the questions around the data from the census is to answer like, what do people do for a living? Because it is very crucial for government to plan for them better, and then also looking at this information and how it will help the government implement the parish development model more, especially stretching over to the countryside to look at how many people are within these particular parishes as well. So for further and better planning, the population census 2024 will clearly give answers to that and a clear planning for the government. Now let's look at the Busoga Expo, as women entrepreneurs have been challenged to tap into the international market, as Uganda is hosting the business community in the NAM G77 that is coming up in January next year. This was during the Busoga Regional UN Women Agribusiness Expo, where women expressed fear to be left behind the summit due to lack of capital and due to lack of connections to interact with these particular delegates that will be coming into the country. Now, the function was presided over by the Dr. Anna Rose Adenun, the commissioner in charge of animal health. About 50 women exhibitors turned up for the UN Women Agriculture Business Expo at the Source of the Nile Ground Show, and also at the Source of the Nile Showgrounds. Then they exhibited yogurt, handcrafts, bags, coffee products, but they did reveal that they have challenges ranging from inadequate capital, lack of knowledge in digital marketing, non-implementation of government policies, and the networking issues in regards to how they can expand their businesses away from the country and seek for international markets as well. So as the NAM G77 summit is taking shape early next year, many businesses are yearning to tap into the opportunities that will arise from the same. Now, lastly, from our business update this morning, let's look at the forex market to check out how different currencies are faring and how you will definitely find the forex market this early morning. Now, this is as close of business Tuesday evening. The US dollar did open on Tuesday, selling at 3,813.33, while selling was 3,823.33. By midday, buying was at 3,790.13, while selling was at 3,800 shillings. Closing time, the US dollar was buying at 3,796.88, while selling at 3,806.88. The Great Britain pound, on the other hand, was buying at 4,775.33, while selling at 4,787.91. The euro was buying at 4,089.23, while selling at 4,100.00. That is by closing time. The Kenyan shilling buying at 24.75 shillings, while selling at 24.81 shillings. The Tanzanian shilling was buying at 1.50 shillings, while selling at 1.51 shillings. Then the South African rand was buying at 199.50, while selling at 200.02 shillings. And well, that is how you'll find the forex market this morning. And at this time, that's it for the business updates. I'll be back tomorrow to give you more from the world of business as I usher you into the festive season, as you also prepare to see how you will definitely get more money and more profits for the businesses. Coming up is the traffic updates with Olive Monica Najuma.
I don't know about you, but it looks sunny outside, at least here. When I look outside our studios here at Nile Avenue, it looks a bit sunny, and no sign of rain this morning. And that is usually good news for motorists and other road users, because every time it rains in the morning, it unfortunately affects many people that are traveling, and of course those that are going for work using different modes of transport. But the people that are usually affected the most are people that use public transport, because you see, for public transport you have to first walk to a stage, get a taxi, and then go to wherever you're going. And if you're going to use a border, then you're affected, and then the borderman is not making money. But that being said, let's have a look at how our roads are looking this morning, so that we can guide you on the route that you should take, or for you to make a decision on whether to hit the road right now or to wait a little bit. Now, when you look at your screen, you see the roundabout at Nambole, and that's where we are going to start from up until we reach the areas of Nakawa and even the heart of town. Now, looking at this roundabout in Nambole, things look good. There is a smooth flow of traffic from every corner. As you can see, I see that there is smooth flow of traffic coming in from the areas of Nalia, joining the Nambole roundabout, but also coming from Bwegere and leaving that and heading to the areas of Chireka. But shortly after the roundabout, as you head into Chireka, you are seeing those orange and red zones over there, which are indicative of the traffic jam that is starting to build up in this area of the road. Now, around Chireka, still, when you look at the feeder roads like Kamuli Road, they are feeding traffic into the main Chireka Road, or what you would want to call the main Jinja Kampala Highway. But when you move ahead, you're going to find that there is smooth flow of traffic. Now, for those that are or choosing to use the Chireka Road, there is smooth flow of traffic over there. Now, let's move ahead to Kampala Jinja Highway and see how things are going between the areas of Banda and Nakawa heading into town. And as you can see, for a given period of time, there is for a stretch of the road, there is smooth flow of traffic in that area. But then we start to encounter orange zones around Banda Market. And as we move along, we will find that, yes, there are sections that have green zones, which indicate a smooth flow of traffic. And of course, there is some traffic coming in from Kamuli Road, as you can see over there, joining the main Kampala Jinja Highway. But still moving along, we are in a section that has orange zones on both sides of the road, as you're trying to access both Kampala Jinja Highway, coming to Kampala or going to the areas of Chireka and Mukono, Bwegere. Now, moving ahead still, we see that there is smooth flow of traffic in the areas of Banda, and still going ahead, there is still smooth flow of traffic in Banda. So if this is the route you're using, you are in luck this morning. Still moving ahead, for the biggest section of this area, I see smooth flow of traffic over there. Now, reaching the areas of Nakawa, this is where we are starting to now encounter red zones, as you can see on your screen. So around Shell in Nakawa, you're going to encounter a little bit of traffic there. But when you move ahead, if you're coming from Newport Bell Road, the road looks smooth this morning, so you shouldn't be bothered. You will be out and leaving in just a short period of time. Now, when we still go ahead, I see a little bit of traffic along the Lugogo bypass as it joins the Kampala Jinja Highway, but still the traffic is not intense over there. Now, looking at 4th Street as it joins the Kampala Jinja Highway, there is an orange zone there, but also a red zone as you reach the section where it joins with the Kampala Jinja Highway. But the good news is, when you are on the main road, on the main highway of the Kampala Jinja Highway, then there is smooth flow of traffic as you're moving. Now, still moving along to now the Jinja Road roundabout. As you can see there is smooth flow of traffic coming in. Even the traffic that you usually find at roundabouts is not intense this morning. Either people moved earlier or there is just no traffic today. They usually say when children are in holidays, the traffic problem in the city at least comes to a halt. Now, as you move away from the Jinja Road roundabout, you're going to encounter a bit of traffic as you're approaching the Jinja Road lights. There you will be held up for a bit, and from what I can see here, access road is still closed, so do not use it because you will find roadblocks there. It is not working. Use alternative routes. And of course, Yusuf Le Road looks clear this morning. There is no traffic over there, and even when we look at that roundabout that brings you to Nile Avenue, there is still smooth flow of traffic over there. The Winton Road doesn't have any traffic. Cars are moving smoothly, and of course when we go back to Jinja Road, you will realize that there is still smooth flow of traffic around this area and the neighboring areas. So from what I can gather, this morning looks pretty good for road users. Most of the roads have smooth flow of traffic. So if you were still deciding on whether or not to hit the road, there won't be a lot of negotiation. You may be able to get wherever you want to go this morning smoothly. Well, that's it from our traffic updates. My name is Olive Monica Najuma.
Live from UBC Studios in Kampala, this is Good Morning Uganda.
Pick of the day on UBC.
Every Wednesday, 10 p.m. on your public broadcaster.
Was brought to you by
MTN Momo Pay is the easy way to pay. Dial star 165 star 3 hash or use the MTN Momo app. You don't need cash. MTN Momo Pay is safe and free.
A new dawn on Behind the Headlines with me, Timothy Nyangweso. Every Wednesday, live in our studios in the heart of Kampala. We have conversations that have analysis, explanation, but not every truth is fact, and not every fact is truth. Every Wednesday, 10 p.m. on your public broadcaster.
all on your public broadcaster, UBC, inspiring Uganda.
Praise be to God. I'm Pastor Fred from Love Works Church along Salama Road. Shalom greetings. I want to bring for you Calvary greetings from Love Works Church. That is along Salama Road at Kulekana stage. We are so happy this year 2023 that Christmas has again come. Why Christmas? Why do we celebrate Christmas? Christmas is the day when we remember the birth of our Jesus Christ, because the world had gone berserk. Then God looked at it and he thought of us and sent us his only one begotten Son, Jesus Christ. And that is what Prophet Isaiah called Emmanuel in Isaiah chapter 7 verse 14, where he mentioned that a Redeemer will come, will be born, and then his name will be Emmanuel. And that Emmanuel is the one we call Jesus Christ. How good that Emmanuel was born for everyone, for all of us. And finally, he died because of my sin and your sin. So why do we remember his birth, it's because if he was not born, then we wouldn't have existed. Christianity wouldn't have come to pass. When we read in Zechariah chapter 9 verse 9, it says that rejoice greatly, O daughter of Zion. Shout, O daughter of Jerusalem, behold, your king is coming to you. He is just and having salvation, lowering and riding on a donkey, are called the foal of a donkey. You know that our Savior was born and the King of Kings finally came. How great are we? How can we miss out talking about his birth on Christmas Day? We rejoice and we are happy because he finally came. When you read Isaiah 7:14, it talks about his birth and his naming. Therefore the Lord himself will give you a sign. That was a sign for the entire world that we are his beloved children. And behold, the virgin shall conceive. The virgin conceived finally, that is Mary. And when Jesus was born, it was a sign that God loves us. Remember, Mary was a virgin and the birth king was by the Holy Spirit. Luke 1:26-35, you read there, but let me read there a few lines and then we wish you the best Christmas. In the 6th month of the angel Gabriel was sent from God to a city of Galilee named Nazareth, to a virgin. And remember, Nazareth was a small city and nothing good could have come from there. But because of God's power, Jesus Christ was born from Nazareth. You may be despised, but remember, those despised things can produce something that can become a reason. The reason why we are Christians today is because someone was born in Nazareth, a small city that was despised. I wish you the best Christmas ever. Let this Christmas be a sign for you to repent, to come back to God, and to ask for forgiveness. And once you ask for forgiveness, God surely will forgive you. And once our land is forgiven, trust me, everything will be fine. Everything will be fine and in our favor. I want to wish you the best Christmas. And in this Christmas, make sure you give someone a gift and then God will gift you back. May God be with you. I am Pastor Fred from Loveworks.
Good morning and thank you for keeping it with us on UBC TV. I'm Robert Chirabo Nyonyitono. Welcome to Good Morning Uganda Agenda. Now it is a cold morning in the 5 divisions of Kampala. The Pearl of Africa, you're not very certain of the entire weather. But remember, I always ensure that we give you a brief of what you should expect. So in case you're coming to town, find something to keep you warm. If you have infants, they're in holidays, ensure they are very safe and warm as well. Season greetings, of course, to you. And just like one of the pastors said before we came in, is that find a gift to give someone and the Lord will give you back. Let this festive season have meaning of giving because God gave his only son for our sins. Now, this morning, I'm going to be discussing something very important. That is Uganda's oil sector. Of course, recently we saw works of the pipeline commencing on the other side of Tanzania, and we are all eager to see that by 2025 our first oil is out of the ground and all is well. But remember, I have this resource for about 25 years. It is still here. Now we want to look at the opportunities, we want to look at the challenges and the transition to, that is, clean energy. At the COP28, there was so much said. We saw almost a war, a diplomatic war between part of the world that believes, or climate activists that believe fossil fuels, we should transit, and the Organization of Oil Producing Companies, OPEC, saying, hey, do not touch that button. Uganda, once our president said, we've just entered the disco club, you know, and we are starting dancing. For you who have been there and you're retiring, let us do things better. Now, joining me to discuss this, I have Dennis Kakembo, who happens to be an oil and gas lawyer and managing partner with Crystal Advocates Uganda. Dennis, you're most welcome to the show.
Thank you, Robert. I am extremely pleased to be on this show today morning.
Now, very important when we talk about oil and the gas sector in Uganda, the number of questions that come in. Yeah. But first is, what is the relevancy of this resource to Ugandans? Because we've had very many oil-producing countries. I want to mention them. But citizens in this country do not see even, and most of the times we've talked about the oil curse. So to Uganda, now we've begun on various stages of exploration. A refinery is being is also underway. So what does this mean to Uganda as a country to begin with?
Thanks, Robert. If you recall very well, when we made a discovery, a commercial discovery of oil in Uganda in 2006, there was so much excitement in the public, but also the political class. I recall quite vividly that on 8th of October 2006, there was a day of national Thanksgiving. And the theme of that day was dedicating this resource to God. We were thanking God for finally remembering us, giving us this resource, which was eventually going to help the country take off. It's taken a bit of a while, because from 2006, if then we expected that we're going to start reaping the benefits of the sector, and today is 2023, which is 17 years down the road, it's taken a bit of a while to realize those benefits, which we are still hopeful we're going to get from. Now, when you look at a number of countries, some of which are developed and others are still developing, a country like Norway. Norway, when it made a discovery of crude oil, it was at a stage where Uganda is. Not very well developed, promising to develop quite a lot, but they leveraged on that oil resource to spur economic development in the country. And as we speak today, Norway is one of the biggest countries in terms of economic growth. When you look at a country like Botswana, Botswana is an African country. Botswana by the 1960s was a very poor country. But when they made the discovery of diamond, it significantly transformed the lives of its people. So at a country level, when you look at the macro numbers, there is an expectation that if this resource is harnessed well, it can actually help a country take off. And when we say that it can help a country take off, to appreciate that well, let's look at the macro numbers. It's expected that revenues that will accrue to the government, that is in terms of taxes, and also the oil that has been sold when we venture into production, will be between $1.3 billion to $2.5 billion annually. If you've been following, there's a project that the government is currently embarking on, the Greater Kampala Metropolitan Infrastructure, where we borrowed money from the World Bank. The total capital spend on this project is about $500 million to run that project. When you listen to technocrats from Kampala City Authority, they keep saying that if you give us about $2 billion, we can make this city glitter like Dubai and other developed countries. Now, placing it back to the revenues we expect to earn as a country. If you're earning between $1.3 billion to $2.5 billion every year for $25 billion, and you utilize a significant amount...
For 25 years?
Rather, for 25 years. And you utilize that resource, a significant amount of that resource towards boosting the infrastructure. Clearly, in 5 years, there can be a noticeable difference. So, I mean, at a country level, if this resource is managed well, we can expect infrastructure to improve. And that is why at this point in time, while a lot of the discussions we see today are focusing on national content, this and that, personally, I feel where the debate should focus on is on revenue management. A windfall is about to flow into the coffers of the government. And how this country will be able to take off or net take off will essentially depend on how this resource is managed. I am quite concerned that there's not a lot of debate on that subject. We need to debate. We need to involve the wananchi in that debate. Civil society has got to come out. Politicians, everyone, the church, everyone has got to be involved in this debate so that when this resource, the revenues are being spent, there's a good level of accountability. There's pressure. Everyone feels it that, you know what, from the perspective of the debate we've had as a country, this is the best way to go about in spending our revenues. Yes.
Now, you've talked about this at national level.
Yes.
I want us to go to individual level, because when you talk about infrastructure, really when you go to the areas where I have the Tilenga, these oil wells, the Kingfisher, one thing you're going to observe is already infrastructure development has happened there.
Yes.
With the planned airport, the road network, a number of developments have taken part. But I want us now to concentrate on you, me, or our companies.
Okay. I think the mistake many people make is looking at oil and gas in isolation of the wider economy.
Okay.
When you speak to business people, they imagine that there's a particular basket out there in the corner called oil and gas. And in that basket, because it's oil and gas, you just go and pick opportunities, forgetting that oil and gas is a business, just like any other business. It's just that for it, you have to spend money in building infrastructure, and then you suck the resource out of the ground. But ultimately, the major motivation is profit. Just like how it would be when you have a grocery shop where you buy sugar and then you sell it to people and make a profit. So that is it. The only difference with oil and gas and other businesses is that oil and gas is one business where you have to spend a lot of money initially to develop it. It's one sector where you can't scale, just like a manufacturing plant where you're saying, you know what, let me first start off spending $1 million, and then business picks up, I can increase investment to $10 million. For oil and gas, you spend everything at one go, and then you recoup it substantially. So in terms of Uganda's oil and gas project, there are opportunities at the development phase or the building of the infrastructure that Ugandans can take part of. Personally, I'm a lawyer, and my practice as a lawyer is oil and gas and tax. Presently, I am one of the lawyers for the oil companies. I serve oil companies, advising them on how to comply with their regulatory affairs, helping them bring in expatriate staff. If they have any tax issues, help them manage. So as a service player, as a lawyer, I am benefiting in that regard. And I believe there are so many other lawyers who are also supporting the sector. When you look at building the civil works to clear the bushes, to set up some buildings, the yards, the warehouses, that is a service that is preserved for Ugandan engineers. And I know quite a number of Ugandan big companies like Motor Angel, like Excel, that have already got some of these opportunities. Of course, when Excel or Motor Angel clinches a $10 million contract, they have to buy cement, they have to buy iron bars, they have to buy the paint. And that paint is going to be bought from the other players, maybe the big suppliers, ABCD. More to that, because of the excitement that the oil and gas industry brings about, you have to ensure that the locals or the communities where the oil is going to be exploited are satisfied that they are also taking part. So there's a bias, a particular bias that is aimed at ensuring that the local businesses in the areas where oil is being exploited get a chance to participate. They may not be at a level of sophistication or development as businesses in Kampala, but you've got to be intentional to involve them. So you might find that if you need 1,000 tons of cement from Kampala, at least maybe 20 or 50 shall also be provided locally, because that is the capacity that they do have. So even at this stage, there are opportunities that have arisen. And those opportunities, you know, when you hear oil and gas, you imagine it's such a white elephant. I mean, if there are employees that Sinok or Total has, they've got to be transported from the airport. So if today you have a tour and travel company, it doesn't mean that you have to abandon the business of tour and travel. Continue doing the business you're doing, but identify that there's this new business opportunity that has come through, and therefore leveraging on the business skills, the skill set that you've already been using to serve happy clients in other sectors. That is what you deploy to oil and gas. So the opportunities in the oil and gas space are immense. If you're a supplier for MTN or Airtel, they need stationary, oil and gas companies need stationary. Furniture, oil and gas companies need furniture. If it's safety equipment, that is needed. The only difference is that oil and gas, they emphasize safety and quality. So if you want to get a chance to participate in some of the things, you have to ensure that your processes are in place. You might sign up for, is it ISO certifications that demonstrate your awareness of what safety means. And if you're prepared that way, you do not need to have served other oil companies before, because they are not there in the country. But leveraging on the experience of us serving other players, you can tout that to the oil companies and you can get business.
Well, of course, opportunity comes to those that are prepared. And the good thing when you look at the oil and gas sector, government of Uganda felt it very wise to ring fence some jobs, some services to be offered strictly by Ugandans. So all the expatriates and these other international companies to co-own these companies. So it's upon you to look for these opportunities and see how you're prepared to partake of them. Now, when you look at the oil and gas sector, one of the achievements of Uganda in this sector is the refinery. That we chose we must have a refinery.
Yes.
We won't just export things the way they are, because there are some oil producing countries that do not have refineries. I think Nigeria has built one of the biggest, the Dangote refinery, one of the biggest I think I could ever say within the African continent. But let's look at the challenges here. As we talk good about this sector, let's look at some of those challenges, more so when we focus with the refinery.
Okay. Now, of course, this is an emotive subject. And many of the interactions I have with colleagues, lawyers, people who are quite sophisticated in terms of appreciating how things work, they keep asking me the question, but Dennis, as a country, why aren't we prioritizing the building of the refinery ahead of the crude oil pipeline? Why don't we exploit our oil here? After all, the fuel we use in our cars, we still import it. Why should we be like countries like Nigeria? Because Nigeria has been producing, I think, since the 1950s. But it's only now that they're building a refinery. It's taken them almost 80 years. What that demonstrates to you is that it's not as easy as an aspiration of building a refinery. If Nigeria, which produces 1 million+ barrels a day, it's taken them this much longer, then what makes you think that Uganda, which at peak is likely to produce 230,000 barrels per day, it's that very much easy to achieve? A refinery investment is usually led by the private sector. That is why even in Nigeria, it's not the government of Nigeria that has spent on this, it's Dangote, a businessman who is profit motivated. When he sat down and worked out his numbers, he actually saw that it made sense for him to invest in this. When you're investing in a refinery project, you're not going to use your money alone. I mean, you're going to spend as an investor some money, but then you're going to rely on the banks to obtain some financing here and there. That is how project financing would work. Now, the world in which we live today, climate change, all the blame has been heaped on oil and gas, that the fossil industry contributes so much to the emissions that are actually causing the global warming. So as you earlier mentioned, there's a lack of consensus on how to go about this oil and gas sector. Because some people are saying, let us completely phase out the oil and gas sector. But then there are also the aspirations of the needs of the people which have got to be met. You saw what happened when Russia, the Ukraine-Russia, prices of gas significantly increased in Europe. And Europe was facing an energy scarcity. Hence, you saw countries like Germany restarting their coal plants to be able to get electricity. You recently saw UK extend the time for phasing out cars that use fuel because they've realized it's not as easy as that. So we've been in an environment whereby getting resources to help private investors put up a refinery has not been easy. The refinery project, you remember the first time government engaged in discussions with private sector to do this must have been around 2015 with the Russians. They came up with a project agreement, but unfortunately it aborted. Then subsequently it engaged into discussions with Albertine Graben Refinery Consortium, which had about 4 companies. Certain works had to be done, but that agreement lapsed before significant works had been done. So there are some challenges around financing of the refinery. Yet, when you look at it from a strategic level, a refinery is such a good project for Uganda. Why is it a good project? Every year, Uganda, we spend about $2 billion, in excess of $2 billion, bringing in fuel. If you're to have your own refinery here, it would mean that you're substituting your balance of payment position. You no longer have to export out so much of your forex buying fuel. So if you have a refinery here, you're easing the pressure on your balance of trade. More to that, when you build a refinery, there's what they call the petrochemical industry. These petrol, like jerry companies, the Movids, the Samonas, they get petroleum jerry from outside of Uganda. That is a byproduct of refining. The fertilizers that we use, some of them actually come from refining. Then the bitumen for making the roads, that is a byproduct of oil and gas. So if you have a refinery locally, it would mean that you're going to spur off the petrochemical industry, which will also further reduce the amounts of money we spend to bring them in, but then also bring about economic development. So as far as I know, based on what I read in the newspapers, government is keen to move ahead with the refinery project, and I think they are now shifting the approach to how to go about it, and I allow them for that, rather than have it to be private-led. The government now wants to treat this as a strategic venture, and therefore it's going to take the lead. If you let the private sector take the lead in this project, it is further going to delay, because the fundamentals of the present world, whether they are right or not, are not favorable. The green activists are going to stand up if Stanbic or if ABSA rises up and says, I'm going to finance Uganda's refinery project, they're going to be blackmailed wherever they are. Whether that blackmail is sensible or non-sensible is another matter. So the refinery project, I think government needs to rethink. Let government probably be the biggest investor. When you look at the national budget, I mean, there are many areas where government spends. And you wouldn't fault them, because from the perspective of government, they feel it's necessary to spend. From where I sit, I tend, sometimes when I look at some of these expenditures, I'm like, but you know what? If you ignore that maybe for 1 or 2 years, and you keep that money aside for the refinery project, the dividends that will accrue out of the refinery project, you might find that while you foregone in the short term some of those benefits that you wanted to get, you will actually benefit a lot more in 3 to 4 years. So that's all that I can say about
Well, that is Dennis, who happens to be an oil and gas lawyer and a managing partner with Crystal Advocates. We are still looking at Uganda's oil and gas sector, but you can be part of the topic of discussion this morning by simply using the number on your screen. Send me a WhatsApp message or a text message, and my guests will be responding to your concerns and also welcome your input into the topic of discussion this morning. Well, now we want to go to the hard nut to crack.
Yes.
I was following COP28 in Dubai, where Uganda was hugely and highly represented. And much as Africa was pushing for a fund on loss and damage,
yes,
for these huge Western companies that historically and presently do release a lot of carbon dioxide or emissions. They're saying the more you release, then let's have this fund, give this money. Yes, they got a breakthrough, but of course not as much as a good deal as we would have wanted.
Yes.
Now, they're talking about emissions from companies and all that. But also we had the issue of transition to clean energy.
Yes. And
if people were following, this was also a very big debate. More so when we saw the activists and then the OPEC, the Organization of Oil Producing Countries. And we know that a number of countries, away from just fossil fuel, coal is still there. So there has been lack of commitment. Uganda, we are just new into this. And we are among those that are going to say yes to these voices.
Yes.
Now, where is the future given that background?
I think when we come to the climate debate, personally, I'm swayed by fact-based, science, evidence-based discussions, which, unfortunately, some of the activists who are strongly advocating for this transition seem to ignore. When you look at the projections, the energy projections of the International Energy Agency, or even OPEC, these are credible, reputed energy agencies, of the sources of energy in 2050, you still find fossil fuels featuring prominently in that mix. 50% plus of the contributors of the energy that we shall be using in 2050 is oil and gas. Now, in coming up with those projections, there are scenarios that are built in, and those scenarios take into account the technological advancements that we are making as a world. Now, if you move around so many houses, you're seeing solar panels. People are starting to embrace solar panels, and solar is a clean energy resource. But you just cannot win off oil and gas suddenly, because it's one of the easiest means of harvesting energy, and then also significantly getting it off it can have huge economic impact. So if that is the reality, that you know what, we want to move away from oil and gas, but you just can't do it suddenly, what is the next best reality? The next best reality is appreciating that, well, oil and gas contributes to global warming. But if we get off it, people are going to die because it's a source of livelihood, it's a source of energy. I mean, I've not seen Europe get off oil and gas, because when winter strikes, you need the gas to power the houses. So you just can't get off it. And at this point in time, there's no credible alternative that you can have. We are only banking on hope, because clean energy, like solar, is essentially based on energy storage, because the sun does not fire up at night. So you need to use sun of the day and then store. Technology today, you use batteries. Those batteries fail. They cannot store energy for such a significant amount of time. Or if you're to have a solution that can store energy that can power the whole of Kampala, you're going to spend a lot of money. So we are banking on technology significantly improving to enhance energy storage. But we are not sure. Sometimes technology fails. There's a lot of research and development which might work but may not work. So if you're saying that we should get off oil and gas, oblivious of the fact that even you as an activist, when you're going to Dubai to talk about oil and gas being bad, you're flying using a plane which is using fuel, fossil powered, that when you go there, if you're a lady, you're putting on nice wigs which are made using petrochem, oil and gas. You're wearing the cosmetics, oil and gas. Then I feel that that is being unrealistic and deviating, of course. So which would mean that, you know, there are technologies which are emerging, carbon capture. So rather than allow this maybe emissions go into the atmosphere, let's develop technologies that can capture some of those emissions and then dispose it off somewhere in a way that we do not hurt the economy. So we need to look beyond just killing off the oil and gas industry, because even if you want, you can't succeed. That's the reality of the matter. But more to that, if you conscript or you make it very difficult to finance oil and gas projects, you're actually injuring the global economies, because there's a demand. Oil and gas, the amount of barrels needed per day will keep growing because population grows and then economic activities grow. But what we are seeing as a result of renewable energy coming up, the investments, the demand for use of oil and gas continues to grow, but not steep. It's at a much lower pace because the additional demand is being taken up by the renewable energies. But you're not completely taking away the demand for oil and gas or even some additional increment. So if you deny Uganda oil and gas resource investment, what will happen is that on the international market, there will be a deficit at some point in time. Now, if there's that deficit at some point in time, you will see oil prices probably spike to $200 a barrel. When they spike to $200 a barrel, and as you've noted, many times when we see a global recessions are many times when oil prices peak so high, the world goes into an economic meltdown because countries are stressed. All the money you're spending it on oil and gas importing, because you just can't do away without it. So my appeal to the climate activists, let us be quite realistic. It is important that we ask to protect the economy. But then there are also aspirations that have got to be made for the current generation. At this point in time, look at the majority of Ugandans who are using charcoal to cook their food. That even if you pass the legislation and said it is illegal to use charcoal, people would rather go to prison but still use it. So that is the reality about climate change. It's I mean, if I'm to use bad lawyer words, it's sexy to talk about climate change, clean energy, but the reality on the ground is that it's not a transition that can easily happen, not only in Uganda, but even in the developed world. As recently, Rishi Sunak, the Prime Minister of UK, demonstrated. He said, you know what, I have to make a hard decision. The economy where we are, we just cannot add additional economic pressure on people because we want to move away from this. Let us drill a little bit more oil. It's not yet the time to get off. So from where I sit, the future, I believe quite strongly that the oil and gas industries still has a future because of the realities.
Well, it still has a future because of the realities. We have a message coming in, and this is Uganda is skating on thin ice. It may drown. Frank Mulindwa from Fort Potro. Thank you, Frank. And then I'm Alpha from Mbale. When will the refinery projected to be completed? Okay, he's talking about the refinery, when it's likely to be completed. And one asked, where are the jobs for fresh graduates? This is a chemical engineer, but he didn't give the name. Please send your name, otherwise I, for one, don't enjoy reading messages whose sender I'm not very sure of. So kindly, if you're to send a message, give us your name. Now, when he talks about thin ice, that is Frank Mulindwa from Fort Potro. Thank you so much, Frank, for watching. He's talking about just what you've just said, that yes, we are skating on thin ice. Anytime, maybe global pressures, we may end up drowning.
Well, I think I would look at his comment from that perspective, but also another perspective. Now, where Uganda's oil and gas project is, we're at a point of no return. Oil activists have done so much, the climate change activists, to sabotage. I know last year you heard what happened in the European Parliament. Green activists sponsoring, instigating a resolution that condemned Uganda's oil and gas project and relying on false information. You saw that map that showed that nearly Uganda and Tanzania were all covered in rivers which were going to be distorted. That did not work. The project is moving ahead. So if the project moves ahead, as I've just demonstrated, the reality of the day is that the demand for oil and gas continues to rise. It's just that the demand is not as steep as it was before, because other renewable sources of energy are taking up some of that demand. But even the renewable energy we produce is not enough to wipe off. Rather, it's not enough to cover up the new demand. But there's already existing demand which oil and gas is covering, so which means you can't move away from it. But the other perspective, where probably I would look at it, is when this resource starts to come in, the revenues start to come in, if those resources are not managed well, we are actually skating on a thin ground, because the expectations of the people are quite significant. When you look at the population of Uganda, almost 80% is below the age of 30. Out of this population, which is below the age of 30, probably it's less than 30% who are gainfully employed. So if, as a government, you're getting these resources and these resources are not being spent very well, you're going to have a lot of pressure from these young people. And so that is the other perspective from which I could see Mr. Malindwa's comment.
Well, time seems to be so much on and all on our side. And Dennis, as we move out of here, let me just get your final remark.
Yes. Let us be positive about Uganda's oil and gas project. It can actually spur economic growth, and that economic growth can help the country if every one of us appreciates that we have a role to play. As a lawyer, I may not be an oil and gas company, but I believe that in my call of duty, there's a brick to which I can add. If I speak out loudly and help government entrench further rule of law, so that institutions of government fully function, I know that when petroleum revenues flow in, because of the functional institutions of state, money will be spent well. So wherever you are as an individual, do not imagine that there's someone who owes a duty for you. You owe a duty to this country by contributing in your small brick. As a church leader, you can speak about it. As a journalist, bring out this information to public. As politicians, you also have your role to play. Even as a businessman, opportunities, they are there, but those opportunities are going to find you where you are. Proactively seek them. Do not be there hoping that they'll come, and then when they don't come, when you've not proactively sort them out, you sulk and then impugn negative energy on everyone that Uganda's oil and gas sector is a farce. So that's all I can say.
Well, thank you so much, Dennis Kakembo, who is an oil and gas lawyer, and above you, our viewers, those that have sent in messages, both text and via WhatsApp. It is very important that we all cherish this resource that we have. 2006 is when we said we've discovered Uganda's ability for commercial oil exploration. Here we are, we're expecting to have our first oil out of the ground by 2025. Hopefully. Time seems to be flying so much, and there's so much that has to be done in this sector. But however, we've made tremendous steps into this direction. We've signed almost all the necessary agreements. We've had the companies that are there. We are now having the oil pipeline, the kicking off in Tanzania. So we hope and believe that we'll get there. The most important thing is to know that this is a resource we must take advantage of by ensuring that all safeguards are put in place. Those that are legal, we have them. Those that are environmental, we have them. And even those that are political. Well, Ruben will be here to take you through sports updates. See you in the next hour. Good morning.
And there is the full-time whistle, and Manchester